Look, I don't know why we still do this. 12 years of marriage, 3 rambunctious kids, and every year, like clockwork, we head off to the middle of nowhere to visit my wife's parents in their village. And when I say village, I mean it's the kind of place that smells of burning leaves, and everyone seems to have a donkey or a chicken running loose. If it weren't for my wife, let's call her Sarah, I would have put my foot down years ago. But here we are again, bags packed, kids strapped into the car, and my sarcastic thoughts simmering on the edge of my tongue. You see, the trip isn't just a visit to the in-laws. Oh no, it's a visit to everything I hate about rural life. Weird smells, bad Wi-Fi, and people who remember me from when I was just the boyfriend Sarah brought home one summer. Yeah, those people. I barely spoke to them then, and I'm not about to start now. The kids, bless their energy, are already fighting over who gets the middle seat in the back. Sarah's telling me how excited her parents are to see us, though from my experience, her dad will likely be more excited to point out what's wrong with my car engine than anything else. Great. We roll into the village after hours of driving through countryside that gets progressively more like a scene from a horror movie. The kind where you expect an eerie figure to appear on the side of the road holding a pitchfork. My oldest son, Jake, pipes up from the back, "Dad, are we going to see the cows again?" Because last year, for reasons that I still don't understand, he became obsessed with the village cows. Sure, buddy. If they haven't all been turned into hamburgers yet. Sarah shoots me a look. That look. The one that says I've crossed into sarcasm land a little too early in the trip. We pull up to her parents' house, and right on cue, her mom comes bustling out. She's waving as if we've been gone for decades. I brace myself for the overcooked roast that's waiting for us inside. Sarah's mom cooks like the meats supposed to survive a nuclear apocalypse. "Welcome," she shouts, her arms outstretched. I swear, every year she gets shorter. We pile out of the car, stretching our legs, and I give her a hug, wondering how I can subtly avoid the dinner she's been preparing since dawn. "Come inside, you must be starving," she says. Bingo. There it is. Couldn't eat another bite, I lie, patting my stomach. We stop for burgers. Sarah shoots me another look. What? I can't survive another one of her mom's meals. Not today. As we unload the car, I notice Sarah's been acting a bit weird. She's more distracted than usual. Keeps glancing at her phone, fiddling with her hair. Maybe it's just the stress of being back here, but I get this odd feeling. Not enough to make a big deal of it. Not yet. Later, when we drive into the village to pick up a few things, we pass this guy standing near the woods. Big guy, rugged. He's got this crazy look in his eyes, the type you only see in bad thrillers. He's wearing flannel, which is like the village uniform, but there's something unsettling about him. The kids are too busy screaming about ice cream to notice, but I catch this exchange of looks between him and Sarah. Just for a split second. Weird. "Who's that guy?" I ask, half joking, trying to lighten the mood. "Your long-lost lumberjack cousin?" "Don't be ridiculous," she snaps. The edge in her voice is enough to shut me up for now. But that feeling in my gut, it's still there, just simmering. We get back to the house, the kids collapse on the couch, and I try to shake off whatever weirdness I just felt. This is just another trip, right? Same as every year. At least, that's what I tell myself as I close the door on day one. The next morning, I wake up to the sound of kids screaming. Not that this is anything new. Having 3 kids under 12 means noise is a constant companion. But this time it feels louder, more frantic. I drag myself out of bed and stumble downstairs, half expecting to see them chasing each other with plastic swords or something. Instead, they're standing at the window, pointing and yelling about something in the yard. My brain is still foggy, so it takes me a second to process what they're going on about. "It's the man, Dad," Jake shouts. "The woodsman." My stomach does a little flip. "What are you talking about, Jake?" "The guy from yesterday. He's standing out there." I peer through the window, trying to spot what the hell they're seeing. Sure enough, near the edge of the woods, I catch a glimpse of someone moving. It's that same rugged guy, the one from yesterday, the woodcutter. He's got an axe slung over his shoulder, like something out of a fairy tale. He's just standing there, staring at the house. I can feel my skin crawl. All right, kids. Enough excitement for one morning, I say, pulling the curtains shut. Let's not give the village creep more attention than he needs. I make a mental note to mention it to Sarah later, but I try to shake it off. Weird guys in villages, right? It's probably no big deal. Except, the day starts getting stranger from there. Sarah, for one, is acting more distracted than usual. I don't mean in that normal, I'm dealing with kids and family and a husband who makes too many jokes kind of way. I mean, she's on her phone every 5 minutes, whispering in the corner of the kitchen. When I ask her about it, she brushes it off, saying it's just some old friends from high school making plans. Maybe that's true, but it feels off. At lunch, when her mom is rambling on about some village drama, who bought a new tractor, who accidentally let their goats loose, Sarah isn't even listening. She's barely touched her food. Normally, Sarah is the one chatting up her mom, asking about every little detail of village life. But today, she's somewhere else, mentally checked out. The weird thing is, every time her phone buzzes, she seems almost nervous, like she's waiting for something, and I can't help but wonder if it's connected to the guy in the woods. The woodcutter. Who is he? Why is he hanging around? Later that afternoon, while Sarah's out getting some fresh air, I'm sitting in the backyard with the kids, trying to keep them entertained. I've just about managed to convince them that chasing each other around with a stick they found isn't a great idea, when Sarah's mom comes over. "You all right, dear?" she asks, her voice full of that maternal concern that only makes you feel guiltier when you lie. "Yeah, just fine," I reply, knowing full well that I'm not. Sarah seems a little off, though. "Has she mentioned anything to you?" Her mom frowns, giving me that knowing look. "No, but she has seemed preoccupied. Maybe it's just the stress of everything. You know how it is, family and all." I nod, though I'm not convinced. Sarah's never been the type to get stressed over a trip like this. But I let it slide, figuring I'm overthinking things. The kids are still bickering over who gets the next turn with the stick, and the distraction is enough to pull me away from my thoughts. But by the time the evening rolls around, I can't ignore it anymore. It's after midnight. The kids are long asleep and Sarah and I are in bed, but she's restless. I'm half asleep when I feel the bed shift. She's getting up. "Where are you going?" I mutter, groggy and confused. "Just to the bathroom," she whispers back. Except, she doesn't head for the bathroom. She slips out the bedroom door instead. It's subtle, but I catch it. For a minute I lie there, torn between just going back to sleep or getting up and figuring out what's going on. But something about the way she slipped out, the way she's been acting all day, gnaws at me. So, against my better judgment, I throw the covers off and follow her. She's already out the door by the time I get downstairs. The house is quiet, eerily so, and the only sound is the creak of the floorboards under my feet. I can see her shadow through the window as she steps out into the yard, and for a moment, I just stand there watching. What the hell is she doing? I slip out the back door, careful not to make a sound, and follow her into the night. The air is cool, and the village is dead silent. No cars, no voices, nothing but the sound of crickets and the faint rustle of leaves. I keep my distance, staying in the shadows as she walks. She doesn't look back, doesn't notice me. She's heading toward the woods. That sick feeling in my gut? Yeah, it's back, stronger than ever. And then as I follow her down the narrow path, I see him, the woodcutter. He's standing there waiting, his tall, rough frame outlined by the faint moonlight breaking through the trees. Sarah walks straight to him. I freeze, my stomach dropping like a rock. Sarah walks right up to the woodcutter. No hesitation, no fear. It's like she knows him, really knows him. And they're standing there in the middle of the damn woods, like it's the most natural thing in the world. I duck behind a tree, my heart pounding in my ears, trying to make sense of what I'm seeing. My mind races. Maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe they're just talking, right? But deep down, I know that's a load of crap. I can feel it in my gut. Something's wrong, really wrong. Then, it happens. Sarah steps closer to him. Too close. He reaches out, touches her arm, and before I can even blink, they're kissing. It's not just a friendly peck either. This is full-on, passionate, can't keep your hands off each other kind of kiss. The kind of kiss that I haven't seen from Sarah in months. I feel like I've been punched in the chest. Hard. My brain can't catch up to what my eyes are seeing. This is my wife, the woman I've been with for 12 years, the mother of my kids. And she's kissing some rugged, lumberjack-looking stranger in the middle of the night, in some creepy village woods. It's surreal, like something out of a bad soap opera. For a minute, I just stand there stunned. My mind's racing, trying to process it all. Every sarcastic comment, every joke I've made about this village trip feels like a bitter aftertaste now. I've been joking about some ridiculous affair all day. And now here it is, right in front of me, real and raw. Anger surges through me. My fists clench, without thinking. I don't even know how long I stand there, just watching, but eventually, something in me snaps. I charge out from behind the tree, all subtlety thrown out the window. "Hey!" I shout, my voice louder than I intended. They both jump apart like guilty teenagers caught sneaking around. Sarah spins around, her face a mask of shock, guilt, and what? Fear? What the hell is this? I roar, pointing an accusing finger at the woodcutter, who's standing there like a deer caught in headlights. "What's going on, Sarah?" She opens her mouth, but no sound comes out. The woodcutter, on the other hand, just glares at me, his piercing eyes full of defiance, like I'm the one intruding on his moment. "I asked you a question." I snap, stepping closer. My pulse is racing, my vision narrowing. And all I can think about is how badly I want to wipe that smug look off his face. "You need to calm down," Sarah finally says, her voice trembling. But she doesn't step away from him. She's still standing right there, like she's protecting him. "Calm down?" I laugh, but there's no humor in it. "I just caught you sneaking out to meet this guy, and you want me to calm down?" "It's not what it looks like," she says, but the words are empty, hollow. She knows I'm not buying it. "Really? Because it sure as hell looks like you've been sneaking around with Paul Bunyan here." The woodcutter takes a step forward, his jaw tight. "You don't know what's going on." "Yeah." I snap, my fists clenching tighter. "Why don't you enlighten me then?" He doesn't answer. Instead, his eyes flick to Sarah, like he's waiting for her to say something. And that's when I realize he's not the one in control here. She is. She's the one making the decisions. And that only makes this whole thing feel worse. My stomach churns, a sickening combination of rage, hurt, and betrayal. I don't know whether to scream, cry, or just punch the guy in the face. "You've been lying to me?" I say, my voice shaking. "How long has this been going on, Sarah? How long?" She finally steps away from him, but it's too little, too late. I don't know," she stammers. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" I scoff. "What's complicated about cheating on your husband?" Tears well up in her eyes, and for a second I almost feel bad. Almost. But then I remember what I just saw, and any sympathy I might have had evaporates. This was a mistake," she whispers, wiping at her face. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I can't help it." I laugh again, but it's that bitter, hollow kind of laugh that comes when you're too angry to even process what you're feeling. "Yeah, I bet it was. I bet you didn't mean for any of this to happen. Must have just tripped and fallen right into the lumberjack's arms, huh?" The woodcutter, who's been silent up until now, suddenly steps forward again. "You don't get to talk to her like that," he says, his voice low, dangerous. "Oh, I don't, huh?" I snap, turning to face him fully. "And who the hell are you? Her bodyguard? You think you can just waltz in here and—" Before I can finish, his fist comes flying out of nowhere, catching me square in the jaw. Pain explodes through my face, and I stumble back, seeing stars. It takes me a second to recover, but when I do, the red mist of fury blinds me. Without thinking, I lunge at him, fists swinging wildly. I don't care about the consequences. I just want to hurt him, to make him feel the way I'm feeling right now. We crash into each other, a flurry of fists and anger, and for a few chaotic minutes, it's just raw, animalistic rage. He's strong, stronger than I expected, but I'm fueled by pure adrenaline. I land a solid punch to his gut, and he grunts, doubling over for a second. But then he's back up, swinging at me again, and I barely dodge in time. Sarah's screaming something, but I can't hear her. All I can hear is the sound of my heart pounding in my ears and the crunch of fists against flesh. Finally, I manage to shove him back, breathing hard. "Stay the hell away from my wife," I shout, though the words feel empty, broken. The woodcutter spits blood, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "You're going to regret this," he growls. "She's not yours anymore. She's mine. That's it. That's the final straw." I grab Sarah by the arm, dragging her back toward the house. She's sobbing now, pleading with me to listen, but I'm too far gone. I can't listen to her. Not right now. We leave the woodcutter standing there, his threat hanging in the air like a dark cloud. And as we reach the house, I realize that this is far from over. The house is dead silent as we stumble inside, Sarah still crying softly. I let go of her arm, my own hand shaking, and slam the door behind us. My heart is racing, my head spinning, and all I want to do is scream. But I can't. The kids are asleep upstairs, blissfully unaware of the chaos unfolding between their parents. For a moment, neither of us says anything. Sarah's standing by the kitchen table, her face pale, her eyes red from tears. She looks like a different person, fragile, vulnerable, nothing like the woman I thought I knew. It's hard to reconcile this image of her with the one from earlier, with her kissing that woodcutter like he was some kind of lifeline. I don't know what to say, where to even start. My mind is a whirlwind of questions, accusations, and raw, unfiltered rage. But before I can speak, Sarah finally breaks the silence. "I'm sorry," she whispers, her voice barely audible. I scoff, the sound harsh even to my own ears. "Sorry? That's it? You sneak off in the middle of the night, meet up with some guy in the woods, and all you've got for me is sorry?" She flinches, like my words physically hurt her, but I'm too angry to care. "How long, Sarah? How long have you been lying to me?" I don't know," she stammers, wiping at her eyes. "It just happened. I didn't plan for any of this. Didn't plan for it." I repeat, my voice rising. "You don't just accidentally end up kissing some guy in the woods, Sarah. This isn't something that just happens." She looks away, unable to meet my eyes. "I'm so sorry," she whispers again, but the words feel empty. Like she's saying them because she has to, not because she really means them. I rake a hand through my hair, trying to keep myself from completely losing it. I want to yell, to scream, to throw something, but more than that I want to understand. Is this why you've been acting so weird? All the sneaking around, the phone calls, the secret texts? Was it all him? She doesn't answer right away, and that's all the confirmation I need. I let out a bitter laugh, pacing the kitchen as I try to wrap my head around this nightmare. I can't believe this. I really can't. 12 years, Sarah. We've been married for 12 years. We have kids, a life together. And this is how it ends? I didn't want it to end, she says, her voice barely above a whisper. I never wanted this to happen. I stop pacing and turn to face her, my chest tight with anger and hurt. Then why did you let it? She opens her mouth, but before she can answer, a noise from upstairs makes us both freeze. One of the kids, probably Jake, shifting in bed. My heart drops into my stomach, and suddenly, all the anger drains out of me, replaced by something heavier. Guilt. Shame. What if they'd heard us? What if they'd seen something? We're not doing this now, I say through gritted teeth. Not with the kids upstairs. Sarah nods, wiping her face again, but I can tell she's relieved. She knows as well as I do that we can't let this explode while they're still sleeping, just a few feet away. As furious as I am, I can't drag them into this mess. Not yet. We'll talk in the morning, I say, turning my back on her and heading for the stairs. I can't look at her right now. I need space, distance. anything to keep from completely losing it. But as I lay in bed that night, staring up at the ceiling, sleep doesn't come. I can hear Sarah moving around downstairs, pacing the kitchen, probably crying quietly to herself. I wish I could feel something, sympathy, empathy, anything, but all I feel is numb, like someone pulled the rug out from under my life and left me standing there, dazed and confused. I think about the woodcutter, his angry words still ringing in my ears. She's not yours anymore. She's mine. The worst part? I can't shake the feeling that he was right. The next morning, I'm sitting at the kitchen table, nursing a cup of coffee, when Sarah finally comes downstairs. She looks like she hasn't slept at all. Honestly, neither have I. For a minute, we just sit there in silence. The kids are still asleep, and the house feels too quiet, too tense. I know we need to talk, but I'm not sure where to start. I've run through a million different scenarios in my head since last night, but none of them make this any easier. Finally, Sarah clears her throat. I know you hate me right now, she says quietly. And I don't blame you. I hate myself too. I don't say anything. I'm not even sure I can hate her. I feel too empty for that. But I am angry, hurt, betrayed. I want to ask her how this happened, why it happened, but the words just won't come. I never wanted to hurt you, she continues, her voice shaking. I swear I didn't. I don't even know how it got to this point. Was it just him? I ask, my voice flat. Was it just the woodcutter? She hesitates, for a second too long. It was just a mistake. A mistake? I snap, my patience wearing thin. Sneaking around behind my back, kissing another man, that's more than just a mistake, Sarah. That's a choice. You made a choice. Her face crumples, but I don't let up. How long? I demand. How long has this been going on? Only a couple of weeks, she whispers. It didn't mean anything. I don't know. I felt lost. And he was there? I closed my eyes, trying to keep my composure. A couple of weeks. She's been lying to me for weeks. So, what now? I ask, my voice hollow. Am I supposed to just forget about it? Pretend it never happened? I don't expect you to forgive me, she says, her voice breaking. I want to make it right. I want to fix this. I shake my head, pushing my chair back from the table. I don't know if we can fix this, Sarah. I don't even know where to start. And then, just as I'm about to stand up and walk away, her phone buzzes on the counter. She flinches and I know it's him. Before she can grab it, I snatch the phone and glance at the screen. It's a text message from an unknown number. But the words make my blood run cold. We need to talk. You can't keep avoiding me. I'll be waiting tonight. The woodcutter. Again. I toss the phone back onto the table, my jaw clenched. I guess it's not over after all, is it? Sarah looks like she's going to cry again, but I don't have it in me to care. Not anymore. Later that day, when Sarah goes missing again, I don't even hesitate. I grab the shovel from the garage, my heart pounding with adrenaline and anger. I don't know what I'm going to do when I find them, but I know I can't just sit here and wait. Not while she's with him again. I head for the woods, my mind a blur of fury and betrayal. I don't even care what happens next. All I know is that I'm not letting this go. Not this time. By the time I reach the edge of the woods, my mind is a storm. Everything feels surreal, like I'm not really here, like I'm watching someone else's life unravel. I grip the shovel tighter, my knuckles white, and march down the same path Sarah had taken last night. Each step is fueled by a rage so deep, I barely recognize it. I'm not thinking straight, but I don't care. I just know that I need to end this, whatever this is. The trees are thick, casting long shadows in the fading light. It's eerie out here, and the silence feels oppressive. There's no sound except for the crunch of leaves beneath my boots and my own heavy breathing. My heart is racing, a sick mix of fear and adrenaline. I don't know what I'll find when I reach the woodcutter's shack. All I know is that it's not going to end well. As I get closer, I spot the small cabin through the trees. It's barely more than a rundown shack, wood rotting at the edges, smoke curling from the chimney. And there, parked just outside, is Sarah's car. My stomach twists. She's here. Again. With him. I grip the shovel tighter, every nerve in my body on fire. My mind is screaming 1,000 different things. Turn back, walk away, leave this whole mess behind, but I can't. I'm too far in. I'm done being the idiot husband who lets this happen. I'm done being the one left in the dark. I creep closer, my breath coming in shallow gasps, trying to stay as quiet as possible. When I reach the window of the shack, I peer in, my pulse thudding in my ears. What I see makes the world tilt on its axis. Sarah is there, tied to a chair, her hands bound behind her back, her face pale and terrified. She's not with him willingly. This isn't what I thought. Suddenly, it's like a switch flips in my head. All the anger, the betrayal, it's still there, but now it's mixed with something else. Panic, fear. Sarah's eyes are wide with terror, darting around the room as if she's searching for a way out. And then I see him, the woodcutter. He's pacing back and forth in front of her, muttering something I can't quite make out. He looks wild. His eyes are crazed, his hair disheveled, and he's clutching an axe like it's an extension of his body. This isn't some guy having an affair with my wife. This is something much, much worse. My heart leaps into my throat. I need to act. Now. I burst through the door, shovel raised high, not even thinking about what comes next. The woodcutter spins around, his eyes narrowing as he sees me. For a split second, there's silence. Just the two of us standing there, staring each other down. Then, without warning, he lunges at me, axe raised. I barely have time to react. Instinct kicks in, and I swing the shovel with everything I've got. It connects with his wrist, and I hear the sickening crunch of bone. The axe drops from his hand, clattering to the floor as he lets out a guttural scream. I don't stop. I can't. He's not going to give up that easily. I swing the shovel again, catching him across the side, and he stumbles back, crashing into a table, sending tools and scraps flying. His wild eyes lock onto mine, filled with fury and something darker. Something unhinged. You think you can take her from me? He snarls, clutching his injured wrist. She's mine. I don't answer. I can't even find the words. All I know is that I have to get Sarah out of here. Now. I charge at him again, but he's quicker than I expected. Despite his injury, he grabs a knife from the floor and slashes at me, narrowly missing my chest. I stumble back, the shovel slipping from my grip. My heart's pounding so hard I can barely think, and before I know it, he's on top of me, the knife gleaming in his good hand. We crash to the ground, rolling in a chaotic struggle. I can feel the cold, sharp edge of the blade grazing my skin as I wrestle to keep it away from me. The woodcutter is stronger than I thought, his rage giving him an almost inhuman strength, and for a moment I think I'm done for. But then I see it, the axe, lying just a few feet away. With every ounce of strength I have left, I kick him off me and scramble toward the axe. My fingers wrap around the handle, and just as he lunges at me again, I swing. It's not a clean hit, but it's enough to knock him off balance. He crashes to the floor, clutching his side, gasping for breath. I stagger to my feet, adrenaline still surging through my veins. I could end this right now. I could finish him off, right here, right now, and no one would blame me. But something stops me. I don't know if it's the thought of my kids, or maybe the realization that this whole thing has already spiraled way too far out of control. Whatever it is, I don't kill him. I just stand there shaking, the axe still in my hand, watching as he groans in pain on the floor. Don't ever come near my family again, I manage to choke out, my voice barely steady. I swear I'll end you if you do. He doesn't respond. He just lies there wheezing, his face twisted in agony. I turn to Sarah, who's still tied to the chair, her face streaked with tears. Without a word, I rush over to her and start untying the ropes. Her wrists are raw, her skin pale, and she's shaking so hard I can barely get the knots undone. I thought you weren't coming, she whispers, her voice breaking. I don't answer. I can't. I'm too numb, too shaken by everything that's just happened. When the ropes finally come loose, she collapses into my arms, sobbing. And for a moment, just a moment, I hold her. I hold her because I don't know what else to do. Because despite everything, despite the betrayal, the lies, the anger, this is still the woman I married. This is still the mother of my children. But even as I hold her, I know things will never be the same. Something between us is broken, and I don't know if it can ever be fixed. We call the police. They arrive within the hour, and the woodcutter is arrested without much resistance. As they drag him away, he shoots me one last look, a dark, twisted grin spreading across his face. "You will regret this," he whispers. "She's not yours." Not really. I don't say anything. I don't need to, because in the end I know he's right. Sarah may be standing beside me now, but the damage is done. Our life, our marriage, it'll never go back to what it was. The drive back to the city the next day is quiet. The kids are blissfully unaware, chattering in the back seat about school and their favorite shows. Sarah and I don't say a word. There's too much to say, and neither of us knows where to start. As we pull into our driveway, I finally break the silence. "No more village trips," I say, trying to sound casual, but my voice is thick with emotion. "That place is cursed." Sarah looks at me, her eyes still filled with guilt and sadness. She nods, but she doesn't say anything. There's nothing left to say. We may have survived, but our marriage? That's a whole different story.